Votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 24th October 2018, page 869, page 870, page 871, page 872, page 873, page 874,
Senator Kaka, Senator Barao, Clifford,
Deputy Senate Leader, will you please keep quiet? Deputy Senate Leader, will you please keep quiet?
page 874, page 875, page 876, page 877, page 878, page 879, page 880, and page 881. Senator and Liu Amako, Sokoto North.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I remain Liu Amako, representing Sokoto North Central District of Sokoto State. I move that the vote and procedure of Wednesday, 24th October 2018 be approved. I so move, Mr. President. Thank you.
Senator Sam Egu.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Sam Egu, representing Ebonyi North Senatorial District. Right to second the motion moved by my good friend, Senator Wamako, that the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 24th October be approved. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 24th October 2018 be approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Votes and proceedings Wednesday, 24th October 2018 is hereby approved. Announcement. Letter from Mr. President, 23rd of October. Dear distinguished Senate President, request to substitute Chief Olabode Akim Mustafa with Mrs. Ronke Shokefu as Chairman of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC. The distinguished Senate is kindly invited to recall my earlier request for confirmation of the appointment of Chief Olabode Akim Mustafa as the Chairman of the Governing Board of Nigerian Deposit Insurance, NDIC, a letter dated 27 March 2018, copy attached. You may also recall that the nominee is yet to be confirmed by the Senate, and I write to inform you of my decision to substitute Chief Olabode Akim Mustafa with Mrs. Ronke Shokefu as Chairman of the Governing Board. This distinguished Senate is therefore kindly requested to consider and confirm the appointment of Mrs. Ronke Shokefu as the Chairman of the Governing Board of Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, as well as other members whose names had earlier been forwarded. While I hope this request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the distinguished Senate, please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Letter from Mr. President, 24th of October 2018. Dear distinguished Senate President, Constitution of the Governing Board of the National Bureau of Statistics. In compliance with Section A2A and J of the Statistics Act 2010, I write to forward herewith names of the Chairman and members of the Board of National Bureau of Statistics for confirmation by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Attached herewith are the curricular vitae Dr. Kabiru Nakora, Chairman Northwest, Alhaji Akinola Bashir, Member Southwest, Professor Moses Momo, Member South-South, Wali Joe Danladia Ahijo, Member North Central, Adamu Modu, Northeast, and one for Paul Chukwudi, Member Southeast. It is my hope that this request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the distinguished Senate. Please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, confirmation of appointment of the Director General, Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. In accordance with Section 21(1)A of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC Act 2010, I hereby forward for confirmation by the Senate nomination of Engineer Chidi K.C. Zuwa as Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. It is my hope that this request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the distinguished Senate. Please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Letter from Mr. President, the distinguished Senate President, request for confirmation of appointment of Honorable Abike Dabiri Arewa as the Executive Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria Diaspora Commission. In compliance with Section 2.1 of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, I write to forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Honorable Abike Dabiri Arewa as the Executive Chairman, CEO of Nigerian Diaspora Commission. Our curricular vitae is hereby attached herewith, while I hope that this request will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the distinguished Senate. Please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Dear distinguished Senate President, submission of the 2019-2021 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. I write to submit the 2019 to 2021 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, MTF/FSP, to the distinguished Senate. Pursuant to provisions of the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, the preparation towards submission of the 2019 budget to the National Assembly is progressing well. The MTF and FSP were prepared against the background of a generally uncertain global economic environment, as well as fiscal challenges in the domestic economy, to ensure the planned spending is set at prudent and sustainable levels and is consistent with government's overall developmental objective and inclusive growth. I hereby forward the 2019-2021 MTF and FSP to the distinguished Senate and trust that it will be expeditiously considered in order to bring the 2019 FGM budget preparation process to timely closure. Please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Muhammadu Buhari. Letter from one of our colleagues, Senator Mao Wabonwa. Thank you for your support. It is my pleasure to sincerely thank the President of the Senate and all my colleagues for your prayers, letters, and show of support at the occasion of my honorary PhD degree award in political science from Gregory University, Uturu, Abia State, the event which held on the 27th day of October 2018. Please accept my appreciation to all my colleagues, especially those that found time to felicitate and be with me in that joyous occasion, including the Senate President, Senator Albert Bassi, Senator Kabir Marafa, Senator Dr. Abdullah Yaya, Senator Lau, Senator Samayamu, and Senator Damaba Ibrahim. It is my prayers that the Almighty God continue to bless and prosper you abundantly. Thank you. Signed, Senator Dr. Mao Abua. Let me all use this opportunity to formally inform and invite our colleagues to a dinner gala night being hosted by myself and the Honorable Speaker in honor of the delegates attending the 73rd session of the Executive Committee and the 41st Conference of Speakers of the African Parliamentary Union, APU, taking place this evening at 8 p.m. at the Emerald Marquee A-Class Park and Event Center on Kashim Ibrahim Way, Wuse 2, Abuja. Dress code is formal, business, casual. Also, let me also inform our colleagues that on Thursday, 8th November 2018 at 10:30 a.m., Mr. President is expected to formally declare open the 41st Conference and the 73rd Executive Session of the African Parliamentary Union program. Our colleagues also are invited to attend. Yes, this is taking place at the ECOWAS Commission in Asokoro. I wish on behalf of our colleagues to congratulate those who celebrated their birthdays, Senator Abu Ibrahim on the 28th of October, Senator Basi Apan on the 28th of October as well, Senator Shehu Sani on the 29th of October, and Senator Babaji Jomowara on the 31st of October. May the Almighty God grant you many more years of prosperity and good health. I wish to acknowledge the presence of members of the Legislative Council of Sako Central Local Government Edo State, staff and students of the Ward of Faith Group of Schools, Galki, Abuja, and staff and students of St. Paul's Nursery and Primary School, Yanya, in Abuja, who are all in a gallery to observe Senate proceedings. I wish them all the fruitful observations of the Senate proceedings. You may now sit down. Leader of Senate. Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. This is a matter I would have loved to come under 42 and 52 of our rules so that my colleagues will contribute. But because the matter is still under investigation, I would rather come under 43 and give you an abridged version of what happened to allow the security agencies to do their work. Let me say that it is with gratitude to Almighty God that I would like to tell my colleagues, my constituents, and the general public that myself, my wife, and my son narrowly escaped assassination early hours of this morning. Distinguished colleagues, it was about 4 a.m. this morning that some people invaded the security in my house and got all the way to my room where I was sleeping with my wife. And then, as I said, I don't intend to give details to the police on this matter, but there was a struggle, there was a fight, there was a very big commotion. By the grace of God, we eventually caught one of them, and then the rest escaped. And then we were able to hand over that man to the police, who are now investigating the matter. But the annoying aspect of it, or the one that's very worrisome, is at this point, I called the IG of police. His phone was off. I called some of his aides, whom I have their numbers. The phone rang out and nobody had replied till now. I called the DIG operations severally, up to about 6. Until I left my house, nobody showed up. I now insisted that my people should invite the DPO in charge of our police station. We didn't see him until about 5:30. They sent his 2 IC who came, and we showed him what happened. He saw some of the dangerous weapons that were left behind by those people when they ran away, including a jack, a knife, and some other dangerous weapon. So he left and said that the DPO was coming. Until I left my house by 9, the DPO had not come. So the problem here is that nobody is safe in this country. I just want to appeal to my colleagues and to the general public that we'll all continue to be prayerful and be conscious of our private security, because it appears now that the security of our lives now is no more in the hands of government, but in the hands of our Almighty God. So this is a very sad development. I do believe that it is time for all of us to wake up to deal with the issue of insecurity in this country, especially in Abuja. And as I said, it's very, very worrisome. But in all of this, I thank God that I'm alive to tell this story. I don't intend to go into the full details because the police, I believe, will be on top of the matter very shortly. Thank you.
The Distinguished Senate President, we all great gratitude to Almighty God for this horrific experience that you went through, not you, also your family. All you could have taken was an unfortunate incident that had been a different story. We thank God for that. As you say, it's under investigation now, but it's unfortunate, the security situation in Abuja. But more disturbing is the poor response by the police. I hope that the police are not being partisan in the way they treat cases of such, and I hope that this chairman of the police will go and find out what exactly happened so that they can't ensure that this kind of thing. Because how at your level, as Deputy Senate President, as of today now, over 7 hours after the event, no response at all. I think it's very unfortunate. But we wait till the outcome of the investigation. But the most important thing, we thank the Almighty God that you are here with us, and we'll continue to do our best to see how we can address the security situation. We here in the Senate and Parliament and Congress, the National Assembly, have continued to see what we can do to give support to the security agents. But definitely there are issues here that need to be addressed in finding out how to improve the security situation here, not only in Abuja, but across the country. The leadership of the police really need to sit up and address these issues. We wait to find out the outcome of the report. In the meantime, the chairman of the police should get in touch with the police and report back to him at the end of today to try to explain why there's lack of no response, even out of respect for the office, to explain the situation that we found ourselves in. Leader of the Senate. Yeah, point of order, Leader.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, Order 43, personal explanation. And with your permission, Your Excellency, I read. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor any debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, this morning I spoke with you on my intention and desirability to make some comments or explanations on what happened last night between the NLC and other organized labor unions, particularly the TUC and the federal government of Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Nigeria was at the verge of serious economic, social, and political calamity when the organized labor and the federal government of Nigeria could not agree on a new national minimum wage. Thank God we were brought back from the precipice. The two sides agreed last night, and therefore the NLC, TUC, and all their affiliates suspended their intention to go on strike. We thank God about that, and I will pray here that the federal government should not wait until when there's a threat of strike before it does the right thing of reviewing salaries and wages, but also that our workers should improve on their productivity. Whatever we pay our workers, we should earn value for money. With this, Your Excellency, I want to urge ASU. To suspend the strike. It started 2 days ago. Our universities are already late in some of the cases of resumption. So there is need for government, particularly the Federal Ministry of Education, and us to dialogue like the NLC, TUC did with the Federal Government of Nigeria, so that our students remain in our universities. One of the reasons why many people, if they can afford, and when they can afford, send their children abroad outside of Nigeria is the unpredictability of terms when our universities could easily shut. So I want to urge our committee on TED Fund and tertiary institutions to engage ASU and the Federal Ministry of Education particularly to see the possibility of compromising or taking actions that will lead to the suspension of the strike by ASU. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Leader. We're all happy to receive the news of the fact that government and labor have reached an agreement. I think we commend the efforts of both sides. As you rightly said, it's unfortunate that it had to get to this point. There had many opportunities before now for this to have been resolved. Be that as it may, we hope that both sides will keep to their commitment so that there will be nothing that will bring us back to the issue of the strike, and all promises or all parts of the agreement should be fulfilled. And also, as you said, for ASU to reconsider their position. Leader of the Senate. Yeah, point of order, Senator Albert was.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and respected colleagues, Senator Albert Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast, and Chairman, Senate Committee on Gas Resources. Mr. President, I come under Order 43 and Order Order 95 sub 29. Mr. President, by your order, can I please read?
Sorry, you are coming under which order? What was the other one, 95? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate. But no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in details to the President of the Senate when it will make its thought. Mr. President, my distinguished and respected colleagues, the Senate Committee on Gas has received several calls, complaints, and questions from the general public through phone calls, emails, on the basis of what has been trending in the newspapers and the social media on the unauthorized withdrawal of over $1 billion from the proceeds of LLNG dividends account by the NNPC. Mr. President, the NLNG dividend account proceeds belongs to the 3 tiers of government and comes under the Consolidated Revenue Funds account. Therefore, Mr. President, any unauthorized withdrawal from this account without the approval of the National Assembly or any other structure of government is therefore deemed to be illegal, Mr. President. I therefore seek the leave of Mr. President that to allow the Senate Committee on Gas investigate this withdrawal and other withdrawals and the way and manner the accounts of LNG proceeds is treated by the NNPC and report back to the Senate, Mr. President.
Well, Senator Albert, I think you're asking us to give you approval for what you have our powers to do anyway. These are your powers, and I think that even the fact that we are reading about it, it shows that the necessary oversight, effective oversight as required from you, needs to be done. But if you want the approval to do the work that you have the powers to do anyway, you continue to give you the approval, but you need to do the work properly. Otherwise, if you did the work properly, you should not even have got to this point. So get on with it. Leader of the Senate. Leader, yeah.
Mr. President, I listened to the ruling you gave. The point of order raised by Senator Albert, the chairman of Gas Committee. Mr. President, you set up an ad hoc committee a week and a half ago, and we were asked to go ahead and investigate the use of $3.5 billion by the NNPC as subsidy, a motion sponsored by Minority Leader Senator Abiodun Olujumi. Mr. President, we had started last week, and this particular issue of $1.05 billion that the NNPC say it took from the Nigerian liquefied natural gas dividend came up in the presentation by the NNPC. Our committee is working on this, and therefore, personally, I don't think at this juncture that the Senate Committee on Gas should go and investigate this one. We are doing that. We are doing that. But if the Senate Committee is to do this, it means our work is over. Because we adjourned, NNPC is presenting all their documents next week to the committee. We are sitting this afternoon with other stakeholders. So I personally feel that this will really subtract from what we are doing. And I think that will make our work maybe unnecessary.
Senator Poka.
Mr. President, Senator Volker Emmanuel is my name. I try to disagree with the leader to some extent. Mr. President, the issue of the ad hoc committee being set up to look into the problem of subsidy was very specific. Subsidy issue should not be confused with the issue of the interests that arose from the dividend of the NLG. So I believe the two are two different issues. So while the ad hoc committee, led by Mr. Leader, is going on with their work to identify what NNPC did with the subsidy, I see nothing wrong for the gas committee to investigate the usage of the dividend arising from the Nigerian Liquefied Gas Limited. So I believe these two things are different, and leadership, the other committee set up by the Senate, should go ahead doing their job while the specific committee met to investigate the issue arising from the fallout from any lapse, from any NDA under it, should go ahead with our job. Like you rightly mentioned, the committee actually did not even require the mandate of the Senate to give them an authorization to go ahead with this investigation. If they had done it internally, this issue couldn't have arisen. So I believe the two are different, and the two committees should go ahead and do their work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader, I think the issues he's talking about are restricted to utilization of dividends of LNG, clearly. And I think that goes beyond subsidy payment, because who knows, maybe dividends of LNG are used for other things beyond subsidy, whether they use it for recurrent expenditure, they use it, we don't even know. So I think that your investigation is wide, and he's talking about dividend of LNG. This time we are aware it's being used for subsidy. Could it be used for other things as well? And I think that there are two separate issues. So for as long as they restrict themselves to those issues, nothing to do with subsidy, is to find out whether it was a one-off thing, or is that the practice that dividends that should go to the 3 tiers of government are just being used by NMPC to meet different expenditure. So that is sustained. Senator Mao.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Mao Arubo Wabunwabia North. Mr. President, I rise on order 43, order 42, please. Matter of urgent public importance. With your permission, may I read, Mr. President?
Yes, go ahead.
And the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Mr. President, do I have your permission to raise the issue?
Yeah, go ahead.
The health sector. As I speak, you are aware of the problem in the National Health Insurance Scheme, the issue of alleged embezzlement and fraud. You also are aware of the issue, the problem in the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, where fraud is also alluded to, and high-handedness. And knowing that our responsibility here is to make laws for good governance and unearth fraud and high-handedness.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Man braces with me. I need your leave for us to take this next legislative day. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This is sent down to next legislative day. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Jibrin Barrow, Chairman of the Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Jibrin.
Mr. President, I am Senator Barrow Jibrin. I represent Kado Love. Mr. President, I stand to move that this Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, Establishment ETC Bill 2018 SB 536. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Danjumala.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I rise to support. I'm Danjumala, President Kaduna South. I rise to support the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology, Manchok, its establishment, etc. Bill 2018 SB 536 to be laid as I come.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology, Manchok Guiding Bill 2018 SB 536. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Jibril, come and lay the report, please. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of the Joint Committee report on power, steel development and metallurgy and gas resources on the urgent need to save the 250 megawatts Kaduna power plant. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Enyana Abaribe, Chairman of the committee, to the motion for the Senate to receive the report. Okay, Senator Basi, the Chairman of the Gas Committee, will do that in place of Senator Abaribe.
Senator Basi.
Thank you, indefatigable President of the Senate, Senior and respected colleagues, Senator Albert Basi, Akwa Northeast. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate do receive the report of the Joint Committee on Power, Steel Development and Metallurgy and Gas Resources on the urgent need to save the 2050 megawatts Kaduna Power Plant. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Gobri.
Yes, sir. My name is Senator Ibrahim Gobri, representing Sokoto East. So I second that the Senate do receive the report of the Joint Committee on Power, Steel, Development and Metallurgy and Gas Resources on the urgent need to save 250 megawatts Kaduna Power Plant. I so second, Your Excellency.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of the Joint Committee on Power, Steel Development, Metallurgy and Gas Resources on the urgent need to save the 250 megawatts Kaduna Power Plant. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Albert Basi, come and lay the report. Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters on the Nigerian Council for Psychologists, Establishment Sector Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Emmanuel Polka, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Polka.
Mr. President, hereby move that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Matters on the Nigerian Council for Psychologists, Establishment Accessory Bill 2018 SB 624. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Rafi Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Rafi Ibrahim. I represent Kwara South. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive the report of Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matter on the Nigeria Council for Psychologists Establishment ETC Bill 2018 SB 624. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters on the Nigerian Council of Psychologists Establishment Sector Bill 2018 SB 624. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Polka, come and lay your report. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day are House bills for concurrence as listed on the order paper. Distinguished senators will recall that these bills were read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, the 18th of July 2018, 24th of July 2018, and Tuesday, 1st of May 2018 respectively. Mr. President, for the simple nature of the amendments, I will use a single lead debate on these bills. Can I proceed, Mr. President?
Go ahead.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, thank you once again. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the following bills from the House of Representatives for our concurrence. 1. Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act Cap F1611 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018, HB 911. 2. National Housing Fund Act Amendment Bill 2018, HB 1077. And 3. Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency Establishment Etc. Bill 2018, HB 1087. Mr. President, my very distinguished and respected colleagues, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act Cap F1611 2004, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018, HB 911, was read for the first time on Wednesday, the 18th of July 2018. This bill seeks to repeal the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act Cap F1611 2004 and reenact the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act and make provisions for the reorganization of the functions and activities of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria as a secondary mortgage institution to make it more proactive and capable of handling the National Housing Fund and regulating the activities of the primary mortgage banks in Nigeria with respect to the National Housing Fund. National Housing Fund Act Amendment Bill 2018 was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, the 11th of October 2018. This bill seeks to repeal the National Housing Fund Act Cap N45-11 2004 and enact National Housing Fund to make provisions for the additional sources of funding through reposition of the establishment to ensure that the sustainability of loans to Nigerians for the purpose of building, purchasing, and improvement of residential houses in Nigeria. The Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency Bill 2018 was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, the 31st of May 2018. This bill seeks to provide for the establishment of FCT Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and to formulate policies and guidelines related to the management of disasters in the FCT. Mr. President, my very respected colleagues, these bills are not controversial and have gone through rigorous scrutiny and public hearings in the House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of these bills. Thank you very much, my distinguished colleagues.
Any contribution? Yes, Deputy Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, we have already in this chamber established what we refer to in parliamentary parlance as the doctrine of reciprocity. These bills have come from the House and having gone through the legislative scrutiny of the House of Representatives, consisting of 360 members, I'm of the opinion that we rely on that doctrine and not waste time in allowing the bills to be read the second time so that they can be referred to the committee for appropriate legislative action. This is more so in view of the fact that we are running seriously against time, and these bills are very, very important for the determination of so many very important issues. I therefore urge my colleagues to allow the bills to be read the second time so that they can be referred to the committee for necessary legislative action. I so second that.
Distinguished colleagues, if there is no objection, I will now put the question. Those in favor that these bills be read for the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act, CAP F16, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Bill to make comprehensive provisions for the establishment of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and its boards of directors, and for related matters, 2018, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act, CAP F16, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Bill to make comprehensive provisions for the establishment of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and its Board of Directors, and for related matters, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the National Housing Fund Act, CAP N45, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the National Housing Fund to make provisions for additional sources of funding and for related matters 2018, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the National Housing Fund Act, CAP N45, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the National Housing Fund to make provisions for additional sources of funding and for related matters 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency 2018, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency 2018, second reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, in accordance with Order 81, subsection 1, I will make a motion for the bills to be referred to the Committee of the Whole. Minority.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, may I second the motion that the bill be referred to the Committee of the Whole. The bill.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor for us to resolve it to Committee of the Whole, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this is a concurrence bill, and I think there's nothing controversial here, so I'm going to move swiftly through it. Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act, CAP F16 LFN 2004, repeal and recommend bill. There are 31 clauses here. So those in favor of that clause 1 to 10 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of that clauses 11 to 20 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of that clauses 21 to 30 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title clause 31 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 18 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule 1 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. National Housing Fund Act Bill 2018, another concurrence bill. There are 34 clauses. Nothing controversial, so I'll move swiftly through. Those in favor that are clauses 1 to 10 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 11 to 20 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 21 to 30 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 31 to 33 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title 34 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The third bill is the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency. 28 clauses. I'll start. Those in favor that clause 1 to 10 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 11 to 20 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 21 to 27 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that short title clause 28 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 16 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that schedule 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for discharge and purposes.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act Cap F16 LFN 2004 Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018. Clause 1 to 31 as recommended, Schedule 1 as recommended, Explanatory Memorandum as recommended, Short Title as recommended, Long Title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the National Housing Fund Act Amendment Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clause 1 to 34 as recommended, Explanatory Memorandum as recommended, Short Title as recommended, Long Title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate considered the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency, established etc. Bill 2018, clauses 1 to 28 as recommended, Schedule 1 as recommended, Explanatory Memorandum as recommended, Short Title as recommended, Long Title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bills be now read the third time.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second that the bills be read for a third time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be not read third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to repeal the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act, Cap F16, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and enact the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Bill to make comprehensive provisions for the establishment of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and its boards of directors and for related matters 2018, third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Act, Cap F16, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Bill to make comprehensive provisions for the establishment of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and its board of directors and for related matters 2018 is read the third time and passed. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to repeal the National Housing Fund Act, Cap N45, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and enact the National Housing Fund to make provisions for additional sources of funding and for related matters 2018, third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal National Housing Fund Act Cap N45 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact a National Housing Fund to make provisions for additional sources of funding and for related matters 2018 is read the third time and passed. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency 2018, third reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency 2018 is read the third time and passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished minority leader. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the resumption of adjourned consideration of the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service on the Counseling Practitioners Council of Nigeria, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that further consideration of the report at the Committee of Whole was deferred at clause 5 to another legislative day on Tuesday, the 17th of July, 2018. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move that the Senate do resolve into the Committee of the Whole to resume consideration of the report. Hang on. Senator Polka is not around. Yeah, go on. Mr. President, Senator Polka, the chairman of the committee, is unavoidably absent. I will therefore move that we stand down the consideration of this report till another legislative day. So move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I ask you second the motion that we stand down the report for another legislative day.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Debt Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Abia State Establishment Sector Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will report that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 28th of February 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Jibrin Barau, chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Barau Jibrin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Barau Jibrin. I represent Kano North in this August Senate. Mr. President, I stand to move that the Senate will receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Debt Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Abia State Establishment ETC Bill 2019 SB 602. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Jeremiah Seni.
Thank you, sir. I am Senator General Jeremiah Seni from Plateau South, and I to second motion that this report should be admitted.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Debt Fund Federal Polytechnic Abia State Establishment Sector Bill 2018 SB 602. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Barau, come and lay the report and then present.
President, this is the report of the Committee on a Bill on us to establish the Federal Polytechnic Abia State and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and other related matters 2016. Mr. President, you may wish to recall that the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 28 February 2018, referred a board bill sponsored by Senator Theodore Oji, Uchendu Global, to the Committee for Further Legislative Input. Consequently, the committee held a public hearing on Wednesday, 22nd day of March 2018, to get the input of the stakeholders and the general public. The committee, as well as the participants, agree with the intent of the bill. Participants were all in agreement that the establishment of the Federal Polytechnic Aba will facilitate more access to higher technical education in view of the large number of qualified candidates who every year are unable to gain admissions into higher institutions. Committee's findings. The committee found out that Abia State has no Federal Polytechnic or Federal College of Education. The bill to upgrade the Abia State Polytechnic Aba to Federal Polytechnic Aba will address this challenge and provide federal presence in the state. Abia State Polytechnic has the facilities required for a polytechnic already on ground. The institution will provide academic training for the teeming population who usually graduate from secondary schools across the state and cannot secure admissions into few higher institutions within the state. The institution will equally reduce unemployment, youth restiveness, and improve the livelihood of the people in the state. The Federal Polytechnic Aba bill is divided into 29 sections and contains one schedule. Committee's recommendations. The committee recommends as follows. 1. Section 1 to 28 should be retained as in the bill. 2. The long and short titles of the bill should be retained. And 3. The schedule of the bill should also be retained. Conclusion, Mr. President. The committee recommends that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do approve its recommendations accordingly. The upgrade of the Polytechnic will be of immense benefit to the people of Aba and Nigeria as a whole. The committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the entire Senate for its usual support. Mr. President, I still submit.
Any contributions? Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished and respected colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report clause by clause. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second that the Senate do resolve into a committee of the whole for a clause-by-clause consideration of the bills. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, there are 29 clauses. There are 29 clauses. This is a non-controversial report, so I'm going to move swiftly through it. Those in favor of that clauses 1 to 4 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of that clauses 5 to 10 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of that clauses 11 to 14 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of that clauses 15 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 16 on page 8. Those in favor of that clause 16 to 20 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of that clause 21 to 25 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of that clause 26 to 28 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of that clause 29 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor that this Schedule 1 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. And those in favor that the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the progress.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I second that the Senate revert to plenary to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Abia State Established Adjournment Bill 2018 as approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 29 as approved. Schedule 1 as recommended. Short title as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? I can see Senator Ojiwan is already smiling. We have not finished the process. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second that the bill be read a fourth time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be read a third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Abia State to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other fields of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration of the Polytechnic 2018 third reading.
A bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic Abia State to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other fields of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration of the Polytechnic 2018 is read a third time and passed. I congratulate Senator Tio Jiwan and good people of Aba and Abia State. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Islamic Sokoto Establishment Bill 2018. The single senators will report that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday. The single senator will report that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, the 1st of November 2017. Mr. President, we wish to invite Senator Jibril Barau, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion as moved by the leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal Polytechnic in Sokoto Establishment Etc. Bill 2018, SB 406, those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Budgetary, come and lay the report and present. Huh? Sorry. Okay, I thought you did. Oh, okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Senator. Budgetary, go ahead and move the motion. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Budgetary. I represent Kaduna North in this August Senate. Mr. President, I stand to move that this August Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Silame Sokoto Establishment ETC Bill 2018 SB 406. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Clifford Odia.
My very distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Third Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Abia State. Sorry, Mr. President, that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Third Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Silame Sokoto Establishment Act Bill 2018 SB 406. I so second. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that we do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal Polytechnic Silame Sokoto Establishment Etc. Bill 2018 SB 406. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Budgetary, come and lay the report and present.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on a bill for the Act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Silame Sokoto State Establishment ETC Bill 2018 SB 406. Mr. President, you may wish to recall that this August Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 1st November 2017, this bill that was sponsored by Senator Aliyu Wamako to the Committee for Further Legislative Input. Consequently, Mr. President, the committee held a public hearing on Wednesday, the 7th day of February 2018, in order to have the inputs of stakeholders and the general public. The committee, as well as the participants in that public hearing, agreed with the intendments of the bill. Participants were all in agreement that the establishment of the Federal Polytechnic Silame will particularly facilitate more access to higher technical education in view of the large number of qualified candidates who are annually unable to secure admission into higher institutions in the northwestern part of Nigeria, particularly the state of Sokoto. Committee recommendations. The committee found out that the Sokoto State, particularly Sokoto North Central District, has no federal education institution or federal polytechnic. And with a large population, the people are in their need of an educational institution to fill the huge illiteracy gap that exists in the zone as well as the neighboring communities. The establishment of federal polytechnic Islami will reduce unemployment, youth restiveness, drug abuse, and improve the livelihood of the people of Sokoto State. Again, the government and community are prepared to make available a sufficient expanse of land to accommodate the proposed polytechnic. The Federal Polytechnic Bill is divided into 29 sections and contains one schedule. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends as follows. 1. Sections 1 to 28 should be retained as in the bill. 2. The long and short titles of the bill should be retained. And 3. The schedule of the bill should also be retained. Conclusion. The committee recommends that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do approve its recommendations accordingly. The committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the entire Senate for its usual support. Mr. President, I so submit.
Any comments? If not, we'll come to the Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate goes into committee of the vote to consider the vote close by close.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this bill has 29 clauses. It's not controversial. It's similar to the one we just passed for Polytechnic in Abia State. Those in favor of clauses 1 to 10 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 11 to 20 be part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of clauses 21 to 28 be part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title, clause 29, be part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that schedule 1 be part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And those in favor that long title, page 1, be part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the chair to report progress.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of Vote considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Debt Fund on the Federal Polytechnic, Islamic Sokoto Establishment, etc. Bill 2018 and approved as follows: Clause 1 to 29 as recommended, Schedule 1 as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read at that time.
President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill not be read a third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Silame, Sokoto State, to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science management, and other fields of studies, and to make provision for the general administration of such polytechnic and for other related matters, 2018, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Silame, Sokoto State, to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science management, and other fields of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration of such polytechnics and for other related matters, 2018, is read the third time and passed. May I congratulate Senator Wamako and congratulate good people of Sokoto State. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the seventh order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal College of Education, GUMEL, Establishment Central Bill 2018. The single senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Tuesday, the 11th of April, 2017. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Jibrin Barau, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Barau Jibrin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Barau Jibrin. I represent Kano North in this August Senate. Mr. President, I stand to move that this August Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on the Federal College of Education Global Bill, Establishment Bill 2018 SB 417. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Ume. Senator Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. I rise to support the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the report on the bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, GUMEL, Jigawa State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and other related matters. SB 417. I so second. Thank you.
The Senator, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal College of Education, GUMEL Bill 2018, SB 417. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Baraj will come and lay the report and then present it.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the bill on the act to establish the Federal College of Education, GUMEL, Jigawa State, Establishment ETC Bill 2017, SB 417. Mr. President, you may wish to recall that the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 10th May 2017, referred the above bill to the committee for further legislative input. Mr. President, the bill seeks to upgrade the existing Jigawa State College of Education to Federal College of Education, GUMEL, and was sponsored by Senator Abdullahi Gumel. Consequently, the committee held a public hearing on Wednesday, 25th October 2017 to garner the input of the stakeholders and the general public with respect to this important bill. The committee, as well as the participants, agree with the intendments of the bill. Participants were all in agreement that the upgrade of the College of Education Gumel to Federal College of Education will provide wider access to Nigerian youth by widening admission coverage to the entire youth of this country, not restricted to Gumel or Jigawa State in particular. Committee's findings. The committee found out that Jigawa State does not have a Federal College of Education. The bill is therefore proposing the conversion of Jigawa State College of Education to Federal College of Education to address this challenge. The Jigawa State College of Education was established in 1976 to produce teachers for primary and secondary schools in the defunct Kano State, which is now divided into Kano and Jigawa states, and is presently producing graduate teachers in affiliation with Bayero University, Kano. All the programs being run by the college are fully accredited. There is adequate infrastructure on ground, and the college has 222 academic staff. 2 among them are PhD holders. The conversion of the institution will provide wider access to admission and assist in addressing the shortage of teachers in the country. The Federal College of Education Gumel bill is divided into 31 sections in 3 parts and contains 1 schedule. Committee's recommendation. The committee recommends as follows. Section 1 to 31 should be retained as in the bill. 2. The long and short titles of the bill should also be retained. And last but not least, the schedule of the bill should also be retained. Conclusion. The committee recommends that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do approve its recommendations accordingly. The establishment of this institution help in producing the desired manpower and expertise needed for the teaching profession in this country. To also bring about equity in the sense that Jigawa, like other states of the Federation, will also have a federal qualification situated in that state. The committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the entire Senate for its usual support. Mr. President, I so submit.
Any comments, contributions? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, may I at this stage move that the Senate do resolve in the Committee of the Whole to consider the report. So move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the Senate do resolve into the Committee of the Whole to consider this bill. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, distinguished colleagues, we have here the bill for the College of Education Gumel. Again, it's non-controversial and similar to the earlier ones we passed, so I will move swiftly through them. Clauses 1 to 10 should be part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 20 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 21 to 30 should be part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 31 stands part of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Schedule 1 stands part of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum on page 14 stands part of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And long title on page 1 stands part of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate will revert to plenary to report progress. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions at TEDFON on the Federal College of Education Gumel Bill 2018 and proved as follows. Clauses 1 to 30. Schedule 1 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Short title as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, may I move that a bill be read, the bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education Government Establishment Bill, ETC Bill 2018 be read the third time. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved by the acting leader.
Those in favor that this bill read the third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Education, Gumel, and for other matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Education Gumel and for other matters connected there with 2018 is read the third time and passed. Congratulations to Gumel and the good people of Gumel and Jigawa State. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the head order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TEDFON on the Federal College of Education, Sabon Birni, Sokoto Establishment Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, the 10th day of May 2017. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Jibrin Barao, chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Tender Budgetary.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Barao Jibrin. I represent Kano North in this August Senate. Mr. President, I stand to move that this August Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TEDFON on the Federal College of Education, Sabon Birni, Sokoto State Establishment ETC Bill 2017, SB 425. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Dinumilai.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TEDFON, Federal College of Education, Sabon Birni Sokoto Establishment ETC Bill 2018, SB 425. Hereby seconded. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and third form on the Federal College of Education on Sabon Sokoto Establishment Bill 2017, SB 425. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Barrett will come and lay the report and present it.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Sabon Birni, Sokoto State, Establishment ETC Bill 2017 SB 430. Mr. President, you may wish to recall that the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 10th May 2017, referred the above bill to the Committee for further legislative input. The bill seeks to make provision for establishment and general administration of Federal College of Education, Sabon Birni, in Sokoto State, and was sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Gobir, Chairman, Senate Committee on Senate Services. Consequently, the committee held a public hearing on Wednesday, the 18th day of October 2017, to get the input of the stakeholders as well as the general public. The committee, as well as the participants, agree with the intendments of the bill. Participants were all in agreement that the establishment of the Federal College of Education for Sabon Birni, Sokoto State will facilitate educational development of the state, particularly in the development of middle-level manpower for primary and junior secondary schools. The committee found out that Sokoto State does not have a Federal College of Education, particularly Sokoto East Senatorial District, with a large population and has no tertiary education institution situated in that area. Thus, the people are in dire need of an educational institution to fill the huge gap, to fill the huge literacy gap that exists in that zone, as well as the neighboring communities bordering the state. Also, the communities within the Central District provide the necessary infrastructure that will serve as a takeoff campus. The Federal College of Education, Sabon Birni bill is divided into 31 sections in 3 parts and contains 1 schedule. Committee's recommendations. The committee recommends as follows. Sections 1 to 31 should be retained as in the bill. 2. The long and short titles of the bill should also be retained. And 3. The schedule of the bill should be retained as well. Conclusion. The committee recommends that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria approve this recommendation accordingly. The establishment of Federal College of Education, Sabon Birni, Sokoto State, will help to produce more qualified teachers for our primary schools, in particular across northern Nigeria. Not only that, it will also allow equity to prevail in the distribution of Federal College of Education in the country. As I stated earlier, Sokoto State does not have Federal College of Education. The committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the Senate, the entire Senate, for its usual support. Mr. President, I so submit.
Any comments? If not, we will resolve Committee of the Whole. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate will revert into the Committee of the Whole to consider the report. I so move.
President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this is a non-controversial bill, similar to the other three we've passed already this morning, so I'm going to move swiftly through it. Those in favor that clauses 1 to 10 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 11 to 20 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 21 to 30 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 31 short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that schedule 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 14 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, may I move that the Senate do revert into plenary to report progress. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the Federal College of Education on Sabonbirin in Sokoto Establishment, etc. Bill 2018 and approved as follows. 1 to 30 as recommended, Schedule 1 as recommended, Explanatory Memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, may I now move that a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, Sabonbirin, Sokoto Establishment Bill 2018 be now read the third time. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the bill be read the third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill read the third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Education, Sabonbirin, Sokoto State, and for other matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Education, Sabonbirin, Sokoto State, and for other matters connected therewith is read the third time and passed. Let me congratulate Senator Gobri and also good people of Sokoto State. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, let me seize this opportunity to thank my colleagues for a valuable contribution for today's sitting. And having concluded today's proceeding on the order paper, I move that the Senate do adjourn to Wednesday, the 7th day of November 2018 at 10 a.m. prompt, and I so move.
President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we adjourn to Wednesday, 7th November 2018, those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me just one announcement before I formally adjourn us. Announcement: Christian Legislators Fellowship invites you to a pre-event program of 2018 National Prayer Breakfast holding on Tuesday, 6 November 2018 at the new building conference room 231 second floor by 3 p.m. prompt, tagged National Workshop on Entrepreneurship as a Tool for Good Governance, Isaiah chapter 3 verse 22. Resource person is Mr. James Abiona of JFK Consult Limited. Signed, President, Christian Legislators Fellowship, Senator Sonny Ubuji. The Senate is hereby accordingly adjourned till Wednesday, 7th November 2018, 10 a.m. prompt.
Always and will always stand by the people. I have here with me a renowned distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm talking of distinguished Senator Theodore Oji. Distinguished, I want to specially congratulate you because you have actually been the backbone of the success of the Federal Polytechnic Abia. You have actually stood with passion to see that it has been established. Distinguished, how quickly do you think, how soon do you think this institution would have a kickstart?
Thank you very much. I believe as soon as possible because we are eager to have it. Since the bill has been passed, is to send it to the President for his assent. And I know that when the President reads the contents of the bill, he will know that it is very important that he assents to it, because Abia State hasn't gotten any federal polytechnic. We have one in Aba. We are not asking for the building of a new polytechnic. We are asking the federal government to come and take over the one that is existing with all the infrastructure, everything. Let them come and inherit it. That's what we are asking for, nothing.
Distinguished, in what way do you think that those technical know-hows that you stand to achieve for the Abia and its environs, how soon will you think the country will start benefiting from it?
Immediately that institution is taken over. it will be of immense benefit to Abians and even non-Abians, because that institution also admits people from Enugu, from Anambra, from River State, from Cross River, and from Akwa Ibom. So it's not peculiar only to Abia State. It's a universal institution that will benefit every person. But more importantly, it will benefit Abians, where the institution is located.
Distinguished, thank you very much for your passion to see that the people enjoy what you stand for, and of course to see that Nigerians yield the benefits of democracy. Thank you so very much, sir. Well, this is all we can take. We do hope that you join us, of course, with another distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that will be talking with us soon. I have here with me distinguished sir. Please kindly stand here.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Distinguished, I want to especially thank you for your passion towards education, and of course you are actually one of the backbone to see that the Federal Polytechnic is established in Sokoto. Yes, of course. So how soon do you think this institution will have a kickstart?
Well, I think this depends on the government, because immediately it is accented. Then in that kind of situation, we believe that things will be put in motion to make sure that the institution is established.
In what way do you think the country will benefit from this?
Well, certainly, with the federal institution like that is Federal College of Education, the state and the country in general will certainly benefit. Because number one, we have currently dearth of education teachers, and in that kind of situation, you will see that we would have a lot of teachers who will be well trained adequately, and they will have a lot of facilities. And the education that is going to be given is going to be quite okay, you know, for the team and populace of the state. And I also believe, because of the youths we have who are yearning to go into colleges of education, federal colleges of education, I think this is the right time now, and I think it's very good.
Distinguished, are you optimistic that the federal government will be able to finance of this whole institution, you know, looking at the country's situation in terms of funding?
Yeah, but you have to understand that this APC government is actually concerned with educational development in the whole country. And therefore, the best thing that they can do, and the first thing I believe they should take as their own priority, is to make sure that they establish very good institutions that will provide good education for everybody. And I think that is one of the cardinal principles of APC government. And I believe that they are going to do that. They will source the funds, they will make sure that they do this, and everybody is going to be happy.
Thank you so very much for your vibrancy and your passion for a good Nigeria. Thank you. Well, this is all we can take for today. We do hope you join us tomorrow for another wonderful plenary. Until we come your way again, we remain NAS Television. I am Christy Awodage saying goodbye.